What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. I'm Joe Nissim, as always. With me is Mr.
Hi.
Fuchs, my brother from another mother.
What do we tell you? Didn't even tell me what we're doing this episode,
Guess
even
what,
though
David? Guess what?
what?
Guess what? Motivation wears off. Okay. And this has been a common theme of something that you and I have been talking about. I actually just had a conversation with three students who are kind of right at that in the middle part of their, I guess at the end of the middle part of their study. And they're like in that lull of going, oh, right before we're just getting to about to that month away, and now you can see their motivation start to pick up because it's like, oh my god, the exam is a month away, and uh now my adrenaline is starting to kick in. But guess what, everybody? When you're studying for an exam, I don't care if it's CFP, I don't care if it's the LSATs, the GMATs, the SATs, I don't care if you're 17 or 77. Your motivation will wear off at some point. It may, for some of you guys, it'll take 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, at 6 weeks. At some point, that motivation is gonna wear off. And I think, we talked about this in a previous video. We've set the expectation. Now what do we do, David? Now what do we do when that little motivation starts to wear out? And I think this is a question that everybody has, is like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. Now what? Now, as somebody who's gone through this, you know, being in a class setting certainly helps. But I think
hmm
even when you're in the class setting, you still feel the effects of it. Would you agree?
Oh, 1000%. No doubt.
I think that is one of the hardest intangibles. I think the exam is hard enough on its own. I think what most people don't factor into their study plan is I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to have good days. I'm going to have bad days. And it sounds so cliche to be like, you're going to have a bad day and you're not going to want to study. I'm like, yeah, we know that. And people like, they look at me like, oh, yeah, duh. Of course, I'm going to have a bad day, but I'm still going to study. And it's like, no, when you come home from the office seething angry because your coworker or your boss or somebody really pissed you off, you want to just throw something at the TV and like walk around in rage. The last thing that you can even think about or tolerate is sitting down. Like all you're going to want to do is rip your book in half. And especially when you're in a lull, it's going to be the first reason and excuse not to study. Right? I had a shit day. And now I'm gonna have to sit down. I'm not gonna get anything done. Right? This happens all the time. Like I just had a terrible day, so I knew I wasn't gonna get anything done. So then I didn't sit down and study because I'm not gonna get anything done. And then
hmm
that's the point where I know students are really demotivated because anything that comes up, it becomes a reason not to study. Right?
And that's usually in the middle, you're saying?
I'm saying that's really like going back to what I said in our previous video. That 25, 50, 25 rule truly applies. And
Yeah.
again, think about it. You're month
Why?
one, you're studying for 4 months, right? Month one, it's exciting. Look how much I'm learning. Month four, holy shit, the exam is right around the corner. Month two and three is like, you can kind of like finagle it, right? In that first month, when you're motivated, it's like we said in our previous video, going to the gym. It's like if I have a crappy day at work and I end up leaving half an hour late, I'm like, I don't really like working out this late, and then I get caught in traffic. When I'm feeling motivated, I'm still going to the gym. When I'm not motivated, I'm turning and going home.
Do you think though it is more, and I'm talking about the second and third month, or the middle 50%? Do you think that's more because lack of progress or potential lack of progress, or just the novelty of like starting the process is worn off?
I
Like, what
think,
do you think?
yeah, I think it's both. I think it's when it really starts to set in how difficult it is.
So it's kind of like, oh, I have to climb this huge mountain that's
Right.
a lot bigger than I thought it was, and that's kind of discouraging. Is
Yeah,
that
exactly. Like think about anybody at the beginning of a diet, right? They're fucking steaming broccoli, they're doing extra cardio, they're doing crunches, and and everybody around them's like, they've done this 100 times. Give them a month, they'll do it for a month, and then a month later they'll be gone, right? Like it's kind of like what the fitness and nutrition industry kind of bank on. Like you
right?
like the age of DVDs, like they know like
Of
somebody's gonna get
course.
really hyped up and we're gonna get it and they're gonna buy this DVD and they're gonna do this.
Yeah,
I mean,
for a month.
look at Peloton, man. Like people bought a $2,000 piece of equipment. That's a coat rack now, and a lot of and my buddy and
That
his
it
wife bought
is.
it during COVID. I know 4 couples. And I'm like, how's that Peloton going? They're like, yeah, we hang stuff on it now.
That's yeah. Or that was yeah. That was
Right?
that was a fad. That was a fad. I'm the reason I'm looking around right now is because that was a tragedy with the stock, and I may or may not own that company.
Well,
So
I'm hoping for your own sake that you do not own that company.
it
Disaster that stuff. I mean, it was a COVID hero.
was a COVID hero.
I actually, it's funny. I bought puts on that and made a killing on that first leg down, and then watched it go down like another 30 points and cried myself to sleep literally like 15 nights in a row.
Oh, yeah, that was a that was a huge downfall.
Oh man, but anyway, but the thing is like when you're taking on a process, I think that, you know, when you're in that demotivated period, and you wrote this down, David, and I think
Mhm.
it's brilliant, is find somebody to vent to. Find somebody to vent to because you're going to be pissed, you're going to be upset, you're going to be happy, you're going to be sad, and you're going to have all those feelings, and that's okay. Have those feelings, but study anyway. Right. And I remember when you were going through the process, like you remember probably a month out, maybe it was 2 weeks out, might have been closer. And you were kind of getting like, oh my God, am I ready? Am I not? Holy crap. And I'm like, David, relax. You're good. You're welcome. You're good feeling this way. Every single person does. Go study.
Mm.
Go study.
Well, that's another good point right there that you made, and then you just said it again. Was one thing that will help with those feelings is knowing that 99 slash potentially 100% of people that take the exam are all going through or have went through those same exact feelings.
Yeah.
There's something comforting about that. Like when I was like, me and everybody else, when you get closer to the exam, and or you're not, like, whatever feelings you're going through, whether it's frustration on not learning stuff or getting nervous before the exam, not thinking you're gonna pass it, knowing that I was told, like, dude, everybody feels this way. Nobody feels good going into this exam. Everybody has trouble learning shit. I was like, oh, that makes me feel good because it makes me feel like, hey, I'm not, you know, feeling a way that's abnormal. You know what I mean?
100%. And I will tell you, your success on the exam is really made in those non-motivation moments. And it's okay. Like it's okay. The ups and downs that you're going to go through are temporary. Like you almost have to be and I said this to Nico Puritz and he brought it up when he came on the cast. He was like, I told him, I was like, you got to be like almost like an emotionless robot when you're studying, where it's like, oh, I got that wrong. Okay, let me see why. Okay, let me try not to make that same mistake again. Oh, I made the same mistake again. Crap, let me do it again and let's hope I get it right the next time. And you keep doing that until you start turning those wrongs into rights. That wears on all of us. I don't want to feel like I'm an idiot. Like, oh, I just got that wrong a minute ago. And I think being like a bit more gentle with, how you talk to yourself in that study process is really important part of that, because you can, the demotivation is real, but then if you start talking shit to yourself, it makes it like you don't want to do it. So that negative self-talk is not going to be helpful at all. In a way, you almost got to be kind of numb to the process, in the sense that that it's gonna be tough, and if you start emotionally investing in every question, you're gonna wear yourself out. Like, that if you're scoring in the 40s and 50s initially, you're doing a pretty good job, and then eventually that gets better and better and better and better, but the goal is to improve it. And I think that the expectation of coming in, I'm going to start scoring in the 60s, 70s, 80s, is a wild one, and it makes the up and downs worse, because now you're striving for points instead of concepts. And then you start learning things all weird and memorizing and doing all the stuff that we've discussed on this cast not to do. So I think the key here with when your motivation wears off is to acknowledge the feelings, is not to exacerbate it by starting to put yourself down. Like, it will take you 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 or 7 times going through a concept for it to make sense. Because the reality of it is that the first time you go through a concept, you're going to pull away a big chunk. And the second time, a big chunk. But every other time, you're pulling little chunks that make it a little cleaner and a little easier, and a little cleaner and a little easier, a little cleaner and a little easier. And that might take 3 or 4 times, that may take 6 or 7 times. But acknowledge the feelings and go, okay, and I'm going to study anyway. And I'm not going to get emotionally tapped into every question. Because if you're sitting there judging yourself by every quiz and every question, 5 questions in a row wrong, I'm shutting down my computer. I'm calling it a day. So I think, setting that table is important, but also, like, it's cool to get pissy and be a total brat and totally annoying to everybody around you during the process. It's tough. And like we've talked about, nobody really knows what you're going through unless they're going through it as well. So that's what to do when the motivation wears off. As always, with any questions, reach out to David or myself. Have a good evening, everybody.